All right, I'm Cece Ciccone,
And I'm Kelsey Bowman.
and this is Go Big or Go DCOM. And Kelsey, what did we watch this week?
The ultimate Christmas present.
Which I have to say is actually the first DCOM that I remember watching,
Like in your
like
lifetime?
in my lifetime.
Wow.
Yeah,
Tell
it
us
was,
the story.
well, it was actually Christmas Day. I don't know, it's so nice. It was Christmas Day, and I was an only child at that point. It was
That's crazy.
probably
I was never an
two.
only child.
Yeah, that's nuts. I think it was probably 2001.
It did come out in 2000.
It came out in
So that would make
2000, but I
sense.
think this was 2001.
Okay.
And I had already opened my presents and was just kind of like sitting around waiting for us to go to my grandparents' house. And it just so happened we were living in Baltimore at the time. And it was
Okay.
like a white Christmas, like it had actually snowed. So it was just like
Cute.
this like very appropriate holiday environment. And yeah, and as I waited for us to go to my grandparents' house, I watched The Ultimate Christmas Present. And
That's so
so
fun.
yeah, and I think it kind of hooked me because there's several. So in the year 2000, 2001, and some of the years following, we see that the DCOMs actually come out like once a month. It's
Mm-hmm.
like they're just overloaded. So that was kind of the time when yeah, when I watched a lot of DCOMs. I really like the sports ones. That was like always my favorite. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think Double Team came out shortly after that.
I
Um
remember Double Teamed.
Motocross.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Mm-hmm.
so good ones. Do you remember watching this one?
I
Like
remember
originally?
watching it. I don't remember like the first time I saw it. I do remember watching it in the house that I lived in between ages like 4 and 8. So we definitely watched it. Yeah, it must have been closer to 7 or 8 because it came out
Yeah.
when I was 6. Um, and I remember like being excited it was on the next year. Like I remember having seen it one year before and be
Mm,
exciting that Disney was playing it again.
right, because this
Uh,
is you were at the it, it was just whatever they decided to play the
right.
movies. We
I
had
didn't
no
get
other
to
way to
say
watch them,
it wasn't
which is kind of
yeah,
nuts to think
my
about,
son
but
who can say Elf again, which we have watched Elf now, and so he has asked to watch Elf again. But yeah, we just
such
waited
a
for
good one.
whatever the channels programmed, and then
Although
that's
I
what you watched.
remember there was our neighbors growing up, they had like this enormous VHS collection. Like they had any movie that you could
That's
imagine. And
crazy.
that was, yeah, I just remember like going over and being like, can I borrow this? Like, yeah, it was a pretty big deal. So yeah, obviously we're hitting the nostalgia factor a little bit early, but
Yes.
yeah,
So this
this
is
one definitely carries a lot of nostalgia with it for a lot of
same
reasons, I
because
think.
Christmas inherently carries nostalgia. I
Sure.
would say last week's The Naughty Nine had, I mean, no nostalgia connected to it inherently, but because it's a Christmas movie, those feelings and the idea of Santa and presents and waking up on Christmas morning, that's going to be nostalgic for a large portion of people, even if it's a
Sure.
brand new movie. So having it also be a movie you watch as a child, and there's something special about DCOMs because, like you said, almost no one owned them.
Right.
So it was very much just whenever it came on TV. So every time you saw it was kind of a special thing. It wasn't like
Yep.
owning, like I owned The Lion King at that age. We could watch that whenever we wanted on VHS.
Right.
But I did own one DCOM on VHS, but I want to
Which
wait and
one
tell
was
you.
that?
I
You're
want to
gonna
wait until
wait? Oh
cover
no.
because it's such a random one.
I actually remember getting from Blockbuster the
Mm-hmm.
13th year.
Oh, I think you've mentioned that before. Yes, the 13th
Um
year was really good.
it is. We'll get to that one.
We'll get to that one.
It
But
is.
back,
It's a really good one. So we watched The Ultimate Christmas Present. This is a star-studded cast.
oh, Brenda Song, who I looked it up, she is in 5 different DCOMs.
Okay, so she's in Wendy Wu. She's
She's in
in
Wendy
Sweet
Wu, where
Life.
she is the main character, right? She's in Sweet Life playing her London Tipton supporting character. She's in this as I guess not a black best friend, but she's a minority best friend.
Yeah,
So
Sam Kwan.
Sam. 2 years later, she will be in Get a Clue with Lindsay Lohan, icon.
Oh, was she in Stuck in the Suburbs?
Yes, she's in stuff with one of the Panabaker. I don't remember which Panabaker sister, but one of them.
Yeah, because last episode I mistakenly said High School Musical when I
And you
think
were
I was
thinking,
thinking Stuck in the Suburbs.
I think in Stuck in the Suburbs, she has a soccer ball purse. And that is
Mhm.
like still the image I have every time I think of Brenda Song is her carrying this like soccer ball purse.
Yeah, Stuck in the Suburbs is, and it's funny because I mean, I probably find myself on the DCOM Wikipedia page more than the average person.
Definitely do not want to see, yeah, the percentage of time I've spent on it.
But it's funny because when I look at the list of movies, it's this weird experience where I know that I've watched them. I can even in a lot of cases remember like what age and where I was, and like you said, like
Mm-hmm.
associate like what house I watched them in.
Yes.
But I don't remember the storylines at all. So that's just kind of, I don't know, a little bit interesting. So yeah, so we have Brenda Song, and I was trying to pick my brain while I was watching this because yeah, we have a minority best friend. Can you think of a DCOM that has like a Hispanic lead?
Gotta Kick It Up is the only one that comes to mind.
Gotta kick it up.
America Ferrera, another star.
Oh my goodness, and I do love America Ferrera.
Honestly,
So
so many. As you look at the DCOMs, there's so many just A-list actors
mhm.
who have starred in a DCOM of their own.
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine like being a child actor, like that was kind of like the pinnacle at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I don't think that it's hard to remember. I think, especially for us who like we came of age right as Netflix and streaming was kind of taking off. But I think it's really hard to remember how big of a deal these movies were, and how big of a deal Disney Channel was. Because I even remember, I feel like you had like the Nickelodeon kids, you had the Disney Channel kids, and then you
Mm-hmm.
had like the Cartoon Network kids.
Yeah.
And like it was a clear division. And like that's just how it was. And now it's just so different. So we have Brenda Song, Hallie Todd, who was also the
Mm-hmm.
mom in Lizzie McGuire.
And this came out before Lizzie McGuire.
It did.
Just
Yeah.
fun fact.
Yeah. It was funny because I saw her and I was like, is it? And sure enough it
Mm-hmm.
is. Spencer Breslin,
Yes,
who is
Abigail
another
Breslin's brother, and also in the Santa Claus series.
he
So Christmas
is
movie icon.
is he in Even Stevens?
No, he's. I looked it
He's
up
in
because
You
he.
Wish.
Yes.
You Wish, which is obviously another decom that we'll get to. Um, and
And
then go ahead.
Brenda Song Christmas movie fun fact is engaged to and has 2 children with Macaulay Culkin, another Christmas movie
Home Alone
icon.
star.
Home Alone star Macaulay Culkin, who just got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and
Yeah.
Zac Efron will get a star next week.
So very
Just
timely. So
the DCOM connections are everywhere. You can't throw a
they're
stone
taking over.
without hitting a DCOM connection.
Well, and the last one, he looked so familiar, and I looked it up. Peter Scolari, who plays the weatherman, Edwin
Mm-hmm.
Hadley in the movie. I thought he was the dad in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but he was in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the series, not the
Oh,
movie.
interesting.
But he looks very, very similar, like that like nerdy dad,
Mm-hmm.
kind of vibe. So yeah, so we have a star-studded cast.
We
And you want
also
to go
have
ahead?
I was going to say our elves are John Sally,
Uh-huh.
who was an NBA player.
No
And
way. That's
yeah, he was
nuts.
a forward for I
Wow.
can't remember who in the 90s. I remember when I saw this and I saw him, I remembered my brother when we watched this way back in the early aughts
Mhm.
telling me he was an NBA player.
He like
And
knew
I
him.
looked it up because I didn't know if it was true or not. So
That's
if you
great.
have an older brother, you know sometimes they lie to you.
Yeah.
But and he was, and then Bill Fagerbaki, I don't know if I'm pronouncing
Yeah.
that correctly, is our other elf. He plays Sparky, and he is the voice of Patrick Star in SpongeBob SquarePants,
SpongeBob. So
and has been for 20 some years now.
it's nuts. So funny enough, our lead character, Allie Thompson, she's not really in anything of
No, she doesn't
too
seem
big
to
of
have
note.
acted too much since. But
Yeah,
she does a great job in this. She has beautiful curly hair.
she does
I
have
love
beautiful hair.
natural curly
So
hair. So
why don't you go ahead and tell us? Yeah.
this movie also square formatting, interesting
Yep.
enough. We start off with a montage of the LA. Just it's funny, it's Christmas stuff, but it's hot, which really resonated with me. I grew up in New Orleans, so I was used to very warm Christmases. So the idea of like shorts and t-shirts right before Christmas isn't out of the ordinary. It wasn't every single year in New Orleans, but
Yeah.
it's something that happened. Um
But now you're in Hawaii.
Allie's now I'm in
So
Hawaii, so same thing.
absolutely. No, I remember like growing up being like, yeah, that's true. Like, what do people do where it's warm for Christmas? Like,
We're just warm. I think it's great. Not everyone agrees. I watched this movie and I was like, does it really snow for people during Christmas? Like, that's what I would think. I was
yeah,
like, are there really white Christmases? The answer is yes.
there are. Yeah.
Allie's watching the Weather Channel for a very boring meteorologist. We meet her family. They're busy. Her mom's running a catering business. Her dad works in software.
He
Her
travels
brother
for business and
her brother's all she has a little brother who's also Joey, who's also running around.
yeah, and that's Spencer Breslin, very annoying younger brother. He kind of reminded me of like Matt from Lizzie McGuire, like just that super annoying.
Yes, exactly. They have the very early 2000s where they're just doing like craziness with their hair. They've got it like twisted. There's butterfly clips. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I almost
Layers.
wore yes. Yes, the layers. This is definitely a DCOM fashion thing. I almost wore butterfly clips, but our podcast is fully on YouTube, everybody. I am
yeah, so you can see us even if you're just listening. Yeah.
Her friend Sam comes over. They talk about how they're invited to a Christmas party by the cool guy Blake invited them to a Christmas party. So it's just supposed to show they have a really busy family. Her dad is like trying to sell dog bones on the internet, and she says, "Are you sure anyone's gonna buy dog bones over the internet, Dad?" Which
so
is hilarious.
Funny.
Because I buy literally, even if I pick it up at the store, I do all my like Target.
Yeah, I don't go into stores anymore. I just don't go into stores.
I have 2 young children, so no. If people can help me put it in my trunk instead, so it's just funny because I was like, could I buy?
Yeah,
my dog's food over the internet. I just bought my dog's flea and tick medicine 2 days ago over the internet, so I was just. That was a very 2000s. He works in software. He's going, and it was fun. He's actually about to leave for a business trip. This seems to be about 2 to 3 days before Christmas, the 22nd or 23rd. He is going on a business trip to San Francisco, which is still a very techie place to go on a business trip.
Absolutely.
And he'll be back. Sounds like the night of the 23rd.
Yep. So they're going to school. So I gotta be honest, our lead character Allie here, she's not the best student.
She isn't. We're in our creative writing class. She appears to just be staring at the boy she has a crush on and not thinking any thoughts. So her teacher asks her about her creative writing assignment that's due tomorrow. They've had a week to write. She realizes in this moment she has not started. It's supposed to be 5 pages single spaced. She has not started this creative writing assignment.
Right. So the teacher kind of calls her out and then she starts this like long-winded fake story that she just made up on the spot about William Shakespeare.
Another like smooth talking lead character. We had a smooth talking character last week in the Naughty Nine, which makes sense because I guess a Christmas movie about someone on the nice list is not like
that's boring.
Where's the character development?
Yeah, so she makes that up. We find out that tomorrow is the last day of school before break. So very similar to the Naughty Nine in terms of timing.
Yes.
And then after
she has
school,
a messenger backpack, which I don't think anyone uses anymore.
I was just about to say I have never gotten over my messenger phase.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking like that was so bad for our backs. Why were we trying to use
just backpacks? One side? Yeah, actually a couple of weeks ago I had my messenger bag and I had to walk through LaGuardia Airport in New York, like all the way through LaGuardia. And I like kept switching my sides with my messenger bag. Yeah, no, it was really bad for our backs. So
Allie and Sam leave class. They are in a rush to get home. Allie says, "Let's take a shortcut through the woods." just the woods of LA. I have no idea how LA is situated.
Yeah, I don't think there are many
And
woods.
I don't
But
think so.
they come across a cabin, and first thing I think of is Hansel and Gretel. They're gonna get eaten.
Same. I was like, don't go near this cabin, but Allie's very inquisitive. She goes, Sam is the best friend. She was like, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. And Allie says,
Right.
we're going to go near this cabin. There's an
And
old man in there futzing with the machine. He seems frustrated.
yep,
And then he throws it away. And
he just
he goes
throws
for
it
a
out the
walk.
door. Yep. And so the girls pick it up, take it
But I
home.
will say he threw it in the trash can immediately outside of his house. Trash is not public until you put it on your curb. Thus, they did steal this weather machine.
They did. Yeah.
That's my opinion about the ethics around the taking of this weather machine.
I
Allie
just
says
think
we
in
should just take this
general,
machine.
you should not take machines, I think.
I
Ever.
think so too.
I think that's a good rule.
I guess it's a very 13-year-old thing that she sees him throw it out and she goes, we should just take this.
Yeah. So she takes it. It kind of looks like a football, like a metal football.
It kind of has a face.
Shape.
It's kind of cute.
Yeah, it does kind of have a face. And so they take it home, they take it to her room, they close the door. Again, like I mean, I don't know. I guess my sisters did like I just feel like in the early aughts, and maybe it's not, it has nothing to do with that. It just has to do with being like a preteen. But like your room was just like so sacred. And so of course that's where they take the machine.
Right.
And they discover that it's like some kind of weather machine.
Yeah, they accidentally make it start raining in the room.
There's lightning that ruins a lamp.
They make a small earthquake. Her mom is in the kitchen with her sous chef, who seems to be vaguely based on Michelle from Gilmore Girls.
I had that inclination.
And he like hides under a table and he's like, get water, get batteries, get flashlights. And I'm like, exactly me if the earth ever starts shaking.
And
exactly
the mom was like, it was probably a big truck.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in an earthquake?
No, but one time I was in a building and I thought it was an earthquake and it was just a big truck. And I did like sit down on the ground.
I was alone, in an earthquake.
Where?
Before in Delaware.
It was at that big one in like yeah.
Yeah, it was summer of 2011, like right before school was going to start. Yeah, and the center was in DC, so like
I read
the
about
Washington
it.
Monument closed down because it had like a really big crack in it. Like the Capitol building needed work done on it. But I was sitting and watching TV, and like it was this very odd experience where like I saw the ceiling shake, and like yeah, and it was nuts. And so I went on my phone, exactly what we do, like to be like, what just happened? No service. There was absolutely like internet was down. So I like turned on the news, and then, like 5 minutes later, they're like, breaking news, there's been an earthquake. My mom and my sisters at the time were in the car, felt nothing.
Weird.
So, yeah, I don't know. It was just anyway.
That's the thing. I remember reading about that earthquake, and then 2 years later, I moved to DC to go to college, and so then I was in a building, and it started shaking, and I was like, "It's another earthquake here."
Yeah,
I like sat on the ground.
Yeah, so they make an earthquake, and there's lightning, there's rain.
So we deduce this is a weather machine, and
they find the snow.
And they find the snow setting.
Yeah, and so they're in California. They've never experienced snow before. They're like, wow.
And she says, my cousin gets snow days. My cousin Stan in Boston gets snow days. And
it's so funny that like they don't know what a snow day is. They're like,
they've just never heard of it. I never had snow days. You
don't go to school.
It snowed twice in New Orleans in my whole childhood. Once was on Christmas Day, 2004.
Wow.
And then once was my sister's 16th birthday. So that was 2008. But we acted exactly how these children act with the snow. We went outside, we just all gawked like chickens in the rain. We just all gawked up at it. But I got hurricane days. So I understood the concept of like weather shutting down.
We actually also got hurricane days, to be fair. So we had the best of both worlds. So they put this weather machine outside thinking, if it can make it snow in her room, it can make it snow in all of Los Angeles. And they don't see anything happen, so they're just kind of like, maybe it takes some time.
Leave it out overnight. They talk about how they were supposed to get a Christmas tree on Christmas Eve, which I felt like it feels like a very old timey thing. Like, I
Yeah,
feel
I
like my
don't
dad
know.
got his Christmas tree on Christmas Eve growing up. I don't know anyone nowadays who waits that long to get their
We
Christmas tree.
always, like my grandparents, the day after Thanksgiving, they would like go to the farm and take all the grandkids and we would get a
Oh,
tree.
cute.
It was really, really, really cute. Um, yeah, I don't know
And
that last minute getting a tree. But yeah, so anyway, so they wake up the next morning and
snow.
there's snow.
I
Just
mean,
snow.
a lot of snow. Everyone's freaking out.
Yeah.
And it starts snowing the night before. They're looking at it out the window while she's on the phone with her dad. Um, Joey says a couple things. Joey A thinks that the machine is his Christmas present. He's trying to guess what she got him for Christmas. And he says, "Did you get me a Laker girls poster?" Which I don't think would have made it
He
into a
seemed way
DCOM
too
today.
young. Yeah.
And he also says he doesn't like cigars his uncle smokes, which I don't think would make it into a DCOM today.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just like any
Because
tobacco reference.
they painted it
That's
as
bad.
like bad. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't like gratuitous use. Yeah, the Laker girls thing was weird.
That seems like a
Although
weird line.
just because he was so young, but remember, John Anthony made some comments like that in Naughty
That's
Nine,
true.
and he was
So
like supposed
maybe,
to be 10.
yeah. So
And
maybe we're all
so,
just pushing our. I guess when you're a kid, it doesn't seem as weird
right.
as because when you're 10, you have crushes on people. Our main character has a crush on a boy who we saw who was clearly 12 years old. I loved that he was actually 12 and not like a 20-year
Yeah.
old playing a 12-year-old.
And he was not a jerk. He wasn't like super
No, he
like
seemed
too
nice.
cool. Yeah, he was just like a normal 12-year-old who's like, "Do you want to come to my party?"
Yeah, I thought that was so cute. Um,
Yeah.
so we see the snow. She's waiting for them to announce. We're watching the boring news anchor, which I thought was such a fun scene. She's trying to see if they're canceling school. She's watching the boring news anchor. He's talking about boring news anchor stuff. And so she switches to a more fun news anchor. She's announcing all the schools that close, schools closed. I was like, now you probably just like get a text message.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I saw a meme that was like kids are out here, getting a text the night before and we were, watching the news like it was the draft.
Yeah. Like it was the draft. That is so funny. Yeah, exactly. I was like, this does not happen today. But it was so fun. I used to do that for hurricane days. I was like so excited.
Yeah, you watch it across the bottom of the screen. So
Mhm.
good. So
School
good.
is closed. We're so excited. She has 2 more weeks to work on her creative writing assignment. She doesn't do a lick of work in this movie, though.
Absolutely
So I don't
not.
think she's working on the creative writing assignment.
Although it ends on Christmas, so we don't know. There's still lots of break.
Yeah. We did flash to Mrs. Claus in the North Pole. She is talking to some elves or pitching her idea. The elves are gigantic. How did you feel about our very tall elves?
I thought it was really funny. And I also thought it was funny how many tech related like jokes there were in this movie that like because it was right around the burst of the .com bubble, right? So this is right when everyone is like, okay, now's our time to get in and get all these technological advances. And so that's exactly what the elves are like. And so they're my favorite pitch was the elves that were like, we can automate the toy making process, gift making process. And then what are the elves going to do? They're going to be telemarketers.
So funny. I love that.
Just so funny. It's so good. Yeah.
And we have some so like I said, one of the men who plays our elf character, Crumpet, he is 6'7". And the man who plays our elf character, Sparky, is 6'4". So these are, and they make a joke like they still think we're tiny with high pitched voices. And these are not just like regular sized men. They're incredible. The joke here is that elves are just incredibly tall. And I was just tickled. I thought that was a very funny twist on the elf idea.
It was good. It was good.
And yeah, the elves are going to be telemarketers. Santa calls and says, "Send my best elves," but the best elves are busy this close to Christmas, so she sends these bozos, Sparky and Crumpet. They take they're afraid of reindeer, or at least Sparky is afraid of reindeer.
Yeah.
So they have invented a Santa utility vehicle,
an SUV
car. Yes, exactly. And
but it's small. It's not an SUV.
It's not
like a
little sports car.
Yeah.
Their knees are like all folded up in it. So they take that down to help Santa look for the machine.
Yeah, because Santa knows it's a big deal that it's not there, that it's lost.
And then when there's snow the next morning, Santa's like, I know where this came from.
Someone got it. Yeah, and so we kind of have this B plot line. If there were to be like a villain in
Mhm.
the movie. It is the meteorologist.
Yes. Like at one point, I'll have to see when I wrote it in my notes, but I wrote, this is his origin story.
It is the meteorologist, Edwin Hadley,
Edwin
who
Hadley.
no one likes watching him. And we
Not
kind of
one person
see
likes watching him or interacting with him. And
his boss hates him. And this guy just
boss is
loves weather.
mean.
He's like, why don't people like weather? Like, I don't get it. He wears a bow tie. I don't know. He's kind of cute, kind of nerdy.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he's like, where did this snow come from? He's, putting out theories. No one really cares. But he's like, I gotta find out where this started. Like, this is not.
And he says this is unlike any other storm in that it didn't come in. It just started at an origin point and grew from there. It was not brought in by winds or changing atmospheric pressure. Yep. So he creates a computer program that could find, I just love the old-timey computers.
Yeah.
That could find the center of the storm and thus where it came from. Yeah, his boss yells at him. His boss says, I only kept you around because I'm married to your sister, and she thinks I should fire you. Which is like, that would really hurt my feelings.
Really mean. Yeah, so that's kind of like the B plot that's underlining all of this, is that we have this guy who's, trying to figure it out, trying to discover where the storm started. But meanwhile, the kids are enjoying the snow. They've never done this before.
Yeah, they're gawking at it. They're looking at one point when it does start snowing, Joey is sitting on the computer, seemingly just like Googling King Tut and looking at photos of Egypt, which felt very relatable and like something
I know. I totally
8 years old.
It's so funny.
The pyramids are so cool. I went to go see them 2 years ago because they're so cool. And the whole time you're like, 8-year-old me would be freaking out
right now. Yeah, no, I get it. I totally get it.
So I thought that was just fun thing. They're like, what does an 8-year-old look at on the internet? Someone else is like, pyramids. Exactly. That's it.
Or space.
Right. Or space. Would have been one or the other.
Yeah. So something that I think is kind of funny is that Santa is like, okay, so who would have taken this? Like a kid on the naughty list.
Yes.
And they flashed to like a kid that's like bashing snowmen with a baseball bat. So we decide
to hunt down we find a shoe print outside of the trash can. So we decide to hunt down, that's a weird phrase, we decide to track down several girls on the naughty list who fit that exact shoe size, within Los Angeles County. And in the original run of the show, it played Secret Agent Man while they're finding the girls.
Oh, really?
But I guess for copyright reasons on Disney Plus, it's just instrumental music.
Isn't that interesting, the things that they changed for Disney Plus? Like, I remember I saw something that was like in the original Lilo and Stitch, Lilo hid in like a dryer or something like that, which is obviously incredibly dangerous. And so they actually changed it on Disney Plus to be like a bookshelf with like a pizza box on the front of it. Like,
oh yeah,
like little things like that. And I don't know, I have mixed feelings about it. Because I think part of it is that it's really important for us to see that change. Like culturally, I think that's good, and I get it. Like, you're not going to tell like a 4-year-old like, okay, this is an old movie, so like whatever.
Although I kind of do, because I watch movies with myself. Well, you watch some movies on Disney and there's content warnings about racially insensitive content.
Aladdin, I know.
Aladdin,
yeah.
Dumbo, I think, has it.
Oh, really?
They're the Jim Crows in Dumbo. They're actual crows, but it's, yeah. So I mean, I have, after watching some things with my son, or just things that have comments about like women, like, did you watch The Sandlot growing up? You were into sports.
I did. Oh, absolutely.
That you play ball like a girl, like things like that. I'll say things to my son who's 3, but I'll say like, that's not how we think about things.
Right. Yeah. So I do think it's interesting.
But I guess go back and safety things are different, which is what the dryer comes from. But or like Splash was on Disney Plus when it first came out. There's the Tom Hanks movie. Tom Hanks and I can't remember her name.
I've never
seen
beautiful.
It. She's a mermaid, and it's one of those things where like she's a beautiful mermaid, and she comes out of the water and she knows nothing. She's just born, and she falls in love with like down on his luck Tom Hanks. And but she is like not wearing any clothes. They digitally made her hair longer during certain scenes to just cover up more of her body.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't that something?
Daryl Hannah. That's her name,
Oh,
the actress. She's
okay.
beautiful.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting just to see those changes as we go.
And the pop culture references, they're like, how are the producer wanted to know, like, how are the Backstreet Boys handling the snow? How is Brad Pitt getting to and from his movie? At one point, he's like, the cast of Friends is all stuck in the studio together. And so I was like
Yeah,
loving the pop culture references.
so good. Yeah,
So yes, Edwin wants to track down where it is. He does find
he finds the house
the center. He heads to the house and um
and he
he
knocks on
says
the
you
door.
he knocks on the door. He says, "Oh, you've won a prize." And the mom is really nice and is like, "Okay, come on in." She's like, "Who are you?" Even though we see her watching him in several scenes, that's how
Yeah,
memorable he is. And
I think
he's
that's kind of
kind
the
of
joke
she's like,
because
"Do
it
you want
happens
some
several
water?"
times that he's like, I'm
I'm
the
Edward
guy.
Hadley.
Yeah,
She's like, "Do you want some water?" And he's like, "I'll have a pot roast," because he's trying to stall her. But it was just like, imagine going to someone's house and asking for pot roast.
oh my gosh, there is a dog at the shelter where I got Noli named Pot Roast.
So
It's so
cute
cute.
of a dog name. I
Pot
wanted to adopt
Roast.
a cat recently that had one eye and was named Goblin at the shelter.
Oh.
I did not adopt Goblin because I have enough on my plate. But how cute is that one eye? He's named Goblin.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So good.
Someone go adopt Pot Roast.
Yes,
So
please.
we
He's
get
a
a
Rottweiler.
call from Dad that his flight's delayed. The
So
snow is
consequences we didn't think of. Yeah.
snow's reached all the way to San Francisco. His flight's delayed, which isn't great. Allie tried to turn off the machine and it didn't turn off. It turned itself back on.
Yep.
Which is probably what Santa was annoyed about.
Right. It was broken. That's why he got rid
you
of
don't
it.
throw away machines that are perfectly controlling the weather. Our
Yeah.
second weather creation machine, Teen Beach Movie, also had a
Yeah.
weather
Yeah.
creation
I was
machine.
thinking about that. Isn't that something?
The recurring themes.
Nothing
so
new
fun.
under the sun. Weather machines. I wonder if it comes up again. That would be something.
If I had a nickel for every DCOM about a weather machine,
Yeah.
I would have 2 nickels, which is not a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
It is. There we go. Perfect TikTok sound. You nailed it.
Thank you. So the power even goes out from the weather.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of a big deal. It
we
has shifted very quickly from being like a fun, little thing that happens, that has never happened before to be like, oh, this is dangerous. Like,
I was thinking, like, do houses in LA even have heat?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, they
My
have
house
fireplace.
does not have heat.
Because I had
That's
that question.
true.
I was like, why do they have a fireplace in LA?
I have a fireplace.
What?
My house is old for Hawaii. My house was built in the 30s, and my fireplace is not functional, but I do have a fireplace with a fire and a chimney. It's not common at all here now, but I do. My house is very old for Hawaii because it was built in the 1930s.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Why do they have a fireplace as I'm watching this TV hanging directly above my fireplace? I was like, okay, pot calling the kettle black. So our Joey, we go to the garage. Santa's in the garage with Sparky and Crumpet. He's like, Allie. And at first she doesn't believe he's Santa. So he pulls out all kinds of facts until she believes that he is the real Santa.
Yep.
He's the real deal. They are not scared enough. The 3 gigantic men are in the garage.
Yeah. Which I feel like is such a Disney main character thing, to be afraid of like nothing.
Nothing. She has just no fear.
Total, like, we have moved past the point of self-confidence to cockiness.
Yes.
Well, and that's the whole premise that appeals to kids, right? Is that it's this world where kids can do whatever. So yeah. So 3 gigantic men. And
they've said, let's get the weather machine, we'll help you fix it. We go. Joey has found the weather machine. He thought it was his Christmas present. Edwin Hadley bursts into the room, sees this weather machine.
Very inappropriate.
100%. A does not question that it was a weather machine. He's like, it's like, this is what he thought the whole time. He's right. And he tells Joey that Joey stole the machine, and B, Joey's going to go to jail for a very long time, which is.
So he has to give it to him. So, really which you think, so Edwin Hadley, even though no one likes watching him, he's good at his job. He understands weather. But you
Yes.
think like this, it's true that this is like his ticket to success. If he can control the weather,
everyone
he will always know,
and
everyone will have to listen.
He will be right, because this is a long-standing joke about weathermen and like sports analysts have the same job. You're just guessing,
right?
And you can be wrong, and no one cares.
Right.
I work as a financial analyst. If I'm wrong, people tend to care because it's real numbers that are provable.
Money. I mean, people care about the weather too.
People
but I mean, the thing is that if they tell me, you know, it's going to snow 3 inches and it doesn't snow at all, I'm like, oh, nice. You know, whereas if they were to be like, and this happened on Tuesday morning, where no one said it was going to snow, and I woke up, snow. It's not cool.
Were you annoyed?
I was very annoyed.
Who's your weather? Do you know your childhood weather people?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Because at that time, your weather person was like a celebrity in the early.
And actually, my guy, his name was Glenn Hurricane Schwartz, and he wore a bow tie. He just like this guy in the movie. He was like super nerdy, Glenn Hurricane Schwartz. And he did the morning, but then like whenever there was like a big storm, he would be there around the clock, and they would just show it, like looking at the models and working on the computers.
Exactly. There were 2 camps in New Orleans. There was Bob Breck, who I believe has now retired, and Margaret Orr, who is still going strong. Nice. And we were in the Margaret Orr camp. So tons of respect for Bob Breck. I just didn't watch him. I watched Margaret Orr. And I mean, like, she's the reason that we evacuated for Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina made landfall Monday morning, August 29th.
She was like, now is the time you got to get out.
Friday night, my sister, so the 26th, my sister was out with friends. And my mom was folding laundry and watching Margaret Orr, the like 9 p.m. It was like special late edition because of the circumstances. And she looked at the camera and said, because it's New Orleans, you get hurricanes all the time. It was like very known that people didn't evacuate then.
Right.
And she looked at the camera and said, this is the big one. If you are not leaving and you can leave, now is the time. And my mom was like, okay, that's it. And she like, the second my sister got home, she was like, pack a bag, we're leaving. She like came upstairs. I don't know if I was sleeping or like about to go to bed. She was like, pack a bag, we're leaving tomorrow, pack for like 4 or 5 days. We did not come back for several months, but so it was a huge
but like she literally could have saved lives.
And so my mom would always say Margaret Orr is the reason we evacuated for Katrina. So it was a celebrity at the time. So I think that makes it even more funny that no one recognizes Edwin.
Well, and we had no other real reliable source for weather, right? Because that's the thing. Like I live outside of Chicago. I don't know the Chicago weather men or weather people at all, you know, because my preferred weather app is AccuWeather. and I get everything I need from there, you know. But it's interesting because it's, you know, there are real meteorologists that are behind AccuWeather, but I have no idea who they are.
Right. I mean, I'm in Hawaii. The weather doesn't change a ton, so I don't really check the weather or listen to the weather. Also,
and if it does change, there's a big issue.
Right. I am at an elevation of 1,500 feet at my house also. So it just tends to be cooler than the temperature that they're reporting. It also tends to rain more because I'm in the mountains than the temperature that they are reporting. No, I don't have cable.
Yeah. See, that's my big reason. Like I would watch the news if I had cable.
But I don't even check the weather on my phone. I have the Windy app so I can check the wind reports. But that's the biggest thing. Like there was the wildfires on Maui and I did not know until people started texting me asking me what island I lived on.
Wow, that's
and nuts. I was like, a lot of people are really curious about where I live, and then I was like, oh my gosh, no, this is a natural disaster.
Yeah. So I mean, that's again just, you know, it's come up a couple of times, but just signs of the times, the things that have changed. And I mean, 23 years, that's a pretty significant amount of time.
So this movie is very much dated, I would say. Some of these things just aren't very applicable in the modern day world. All right. So Edwin Hadley is like, no one was ever nice to me. They made fun of me. They saw bunnies and piggies in the cloud, and I saw like accumulated atmospheric moisture or whatever.
Which is funny.
And he jumps out the window and runs away into the storm with the weather machine.
Nuts.
And that is when I wrote down, this is his origin story.
Right. So now Edwin Hadley is officially the villain.
Yes.
And we have Allie and Sam and Santa and Crumpet and Sparky. The dream team.
The dream team.
that are chasing Edwin Hadley, the meteorologist.
5 is a basketball team.
That's true. Yeah, so they're chasing him and they end up, it's a candy factory, right? Where
Yes,
they end
which
up.
seemed so. This is the plot twist in the movie that I found least realistic. The candy factory aspect was just so random.
I live and drive past every day the Albanese Candy Factory, which, have you ever had their gummy bears?
No.
They are the best gummy bears.
They're
like,
put some in a flat rate box and send them out
here. I actually low-key was thinking about doing that for Christmas. They're not chewy. Like, they're not super chewy. They're just like, you know how gummy bears are super chewy, but like fruit snacks aren't?
Yes.
They're more of a fruit snack gummy bear.
I'm a fruit snack girly. Send them over here.
So I guess for me, the candy factory was a little bit realistic.
I used to go past the Netherlands. Have you ever heard Tony's Chocolonely? Is a
Sounds
chocolate
like kind of
candy.
Familiar.
They sell it here mostly in like Whole Foods. In the Netherlands, it's everywhere. They make it there. I used to live in the Netherlands. I used to go past their factory every so often.
Could you smell it?
Like, no. Can you smell your factory?
No, but when I was in Delaware, there was this like, I don't know, they like baked the baked goods for all the regional grocery stores. And we would drive past that every day on my way to school. And so it's like 7 a.m. and you're smelling brownies. Oh, it was so good.
I'd be like, I need brownies stat.
Yeah. So they end up in a candy factory, which is just kind of funny for some like physical humor that happens, but otherwise it's not really
Edwin
not really
steals a snowmobile. Why that guy had a snowmobile to be stolen?
Yeah, he carjacked it. That was he literally, the person wasn't like, yeah, get it. He was like, no, get off, and like pushed him off.
I'm Edwin Hadley and I need your snowmobile.
And of course the guy didn't recognize him because that's the running joke.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, so
it's
good.
Like did you see that like episode of Sweet Life where they were doing High School Musical as a play? So Sweet Life is within the series Sweet Life, there's an episode where they're high school
on deck. It's actually
original. Their school is doing High School Musical, the play. Amazing. And Ashley Tisdale keeps saying, I look just like Sharpay. Everyone says,
and everyone's like, I don't see it.
I don't see exactly. Which shows you how big High School Musical was as a DCOM, that the other shows were referencing it.
It was a really big deal. And spoiler alert to our listeners, that's not going to be our next episode, but it will be what we're releasing on New Year's.
On New Year's
because that's
day, because they meet on New Year's Eve.
Yeah. So we're really excited.
So get
really
ready.
Excited about that.
I
feel like that is like our holy grail
the episode. Big kahuna. Yes, that High School Musical is it for DCOMs. But yeah, so it was kind of similar to everyone in that movie in that little episode being like, oh, I don't think you look like Sharpay, to Ashley Tisdale, who also plays Sharpay and plays Maddie in Sweet Life.
Yeah.
So him telling everyone I'm Edwin Hadley and them not getting it was a fun running joke. So we're in the candy factory. We're running around. I don't know. Sparky starts going after him with a giant peppermint candy cane.
Yep.
And we do get the machine back from him. Yep. And basically, you have to fix it still because it's still snowing. It's still it has elevated to a blizzard. Like, this is a national disaster, I would say.
Oh yeah. Really big.
Oh, they called in the National Guard to keep people off the freeways that are all closed. This is a national disaster. This is costing the government billions of dollars and the economy. It's a couple days before Christmas. This is ruining Christmas shopping.
Not to mention, like when big storms like that happen, people always die. Like, that's just like,
yes. So yeah, at this point, we've unfortunately
probably been responsible for loss of life. But at least she didn't have to turn in her creative writing assignment. So
right, just thank goodness for that one thing. This is when Edwin Hadley is still like, no one gets me. And Santa's like, I'm going to help you get to a place where people understand you. So we go to Santa's workshop again. His summer cabin is what they called it.
Yeah.
And Edwin is sitting in a chair between Sparky and Crumpet. And there's one point where he's like, I don't have to stay here. And he stands up and they stand up. And you just see how gigantic. That's when I Googled how tall they were. You see how gigantic. And he's like, I'll just sit back down. And Santa, we realized the machine needed new batteries. That was
Yeah,
the
Santa accidentally used regular batteries when Santa has batteries that last 100 years. So
joke's on Santa. He should have just used
silly
his own
Santa.
batteries. So we put in the new batteries and the machine works now. So we have a discussion about the naughty list, a similar discussion to the naughty nine. Allie's like, so I'm really on the naughty list. And Santa says, but it's not forever. You decide if you're on the naughty list. So you just have to make better choices and be yourself, but making the better choices, which is really similar to what Santa says in the Naughty Nine.
It is, yeah. But honestly, is a really important lesson for kids. Because I mean, I'm 28 years old. I've been in therapy for 8 years. I feel like I'm still working through some of these like things in my identity that got solidified when I was 8, And it's like,
Right.
wait a second, no, you like did one thing that was wrong. You're not actually like a bad person.
Right.
And so that's actually like a really powerful message. Obviously, I didn't take it to heart. When I saw this when I was 6 or
I
whatever.
think that's okay. But it's true. When I was in college, there was one point in time where someone said, like, everyone is a work in progress. It's not like you're a work in progress because everyone is a work in progress, right, and you always will be. And that was really the first time I'd thought of it that way. Like, I'm not finished. Everyone else isn't either. So you're right. This is like a big concept. Well, and it is an important point.
I think, one of the things that we talk about is how when we originally saw these movies, these kids seemed so much older. And so, and I think that that's something that you carry around when you're a kid is you're like, oh, well, I should. And adults don't help this out, right? Where there's not often given like a learning curve, like, oh, you did that because you're 8 and you didn't know any better. Like that's not often what parents do. It's like, why did you do that? It's like, well, no one ever told me otherwise. And so that's where you have this like really great opportunity to like learn from mistakes, learn from the things that you're doing. And you have Santa, who's right. Santa's just like always a good guy to give that message.
And you do have this idea of a kid as good kids and bad kids.
Absolutely.
And you don't think too much about that changing or why certain kids behave certain ways, outside of just when you're a kid, you think he's just mean. And then as an adult, you learn that there are probably other things going on in that kid's life.
Right.
So it was a nice little moral to have towards the end of the movie. And
I love the ending for Edwin.
Oh yeah. Do you want to just flash
Edwin ends up was it Antarctica or was it the North Pole?
He's at the South Pole. It's Antarctica.
The South
There's
Pole.
penguins.
So there's penguins in the background. And he like is teaching like a group of meteorologists all about the weather. And so they're all like hanging on his every word. He's like finally found his crew.
Cool. Yes. Yeah, I did love that
which
for him.
Is so cute.
Which was a fun ending because towards the second half of the movie, he became our villain. And then he changes himself. Santa helps him find the place where he belongs. He changes who he is, and he does lead people who genuinely care and want to hear about all the atmospheric pressure changes. Yeah,
that was pretty good. I like that as his ending.
So Santa fixes the machine. He turns off the snow. Snow starts to melt. We wake up the next morning. She says, Santa, if you can get me one thing for Christmas, and she like whispers in Santa's ear. We wake up the next morning.
Spoiler.
Spoiler. Oh, she has a conversation with Sam where she's like, earlier in the movie, when we first find out Dad's flight's delayed, she's like, wouldn't it be terrible for my dad to not be here for Christmas? And Sam is like, my dad's a dad.
That did happen. Oh, is that something that you would do?
That's something that's happened to me, basically. So, my father died when I was 17. He had a heart attack. It was very unexpected and out of the blue. And so I have had people say things like, oh no, like my dad is missing this, or like, oh, it was so hard for me because like my dad couldn't come like when my children were born and things like that. And I'm just like, yeah, like I don't know what to say to people. I'm obviously like I've realized that everyone else's parents are involved in their life. And my dad isn't, and now my mom has passed away too at this point. It's like neither of my parents are. But yes, I've had several conversations where people say things like that. Or someone was once like, it was really hard for my dad when his dad passed. I mean, can you imagine? And that person completely knew that my dad was dead. And I was like,
oh my gosh.
And they're like,
clueless.
I'm so sorry. It was basically this conversation.
Yeah.
So I could understand.
So that happened. I think Allie realized a little bit. She was like, oh, that kind of put things into perspective for her or whatever. But that's not the only dead parent that we've had so far, right?
Johnny Tsunami, his best friend, was he
That's
also
it. The
named
mom.
Sam? His mom had passed away.
Yeah.
So
the kid who played Jet Jackson.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is like a recurring, and I mean, as we know, this happens a lot in Disney, especially like Walt Disney movies, like the big picture, major motion picture ones.
Yeah. So she does.
Obviously, Dumbo comes to mind.
Yes, Dumbo. Bambi.
Not Disney, but The Land Before Time.
I loved The Land Before Time.
Were you into dinosaurs?
Not really. It was just
The Land Before Time. It was so good. I'm not hating. It was so good.
Yeah, there was, though, because there's a couple of Disney movies that I've wanted to watch. I haven't seen Dinosaur in a really long time.
I saw Dinosaur. Yeah, I was gonna say I saw it in theaters, and I don't know if I've ever seen it since.
Yeah,
it was like
20 and then years ago. The Good Dinosaur. I haven't.
Have you seen it? I haven't seen it either.
No. So anyway, yeah. So there they are. Her dad does make
cactus tree because they couldn't get a real tree, so Joey and her decorated cactus. Which was cute, and it was cute to show like they'd been fighting the whole movie, them bonding, like realizing the importance of Christmas as time to spend together as families, and not
right. And that's kind of what happened. Was like all the things that were a disaster kind of come and make this like really beautiful Christmas. Her dad comes home. They have the
Hummer. Her dad rolls up in a Hummer.
That's driven
so 2000
by Sparky, right?
Yes, and then Crumpet's there too.
Yeah.
So they
made sure he came, which honestly I thought was very interesting. This idea that Santa doesn't just give like physical presents, but like Santa actually in some way like controls everything.
That's
I thought
true,
was just like a really interesting.
Say the purpose of the machine was to create a nice light snowfall so that everyone would appreciate the moment, realize how beautiful it is, and that would be the ultimate Christmas present. So rather than a physical thing, but Santa is trying to bring families together at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you think about it, Santa, when you just think about like the transactional aspect of like kids get toys from Santa, but Santa's supposed to, then it grows out of that of like, no, you have to be good to get the toys from Santa. So like in some way, Santa has like a moral element that oversees all of these things, which is very interesting. Yeah, so then for Allie, the ultimate Christmas present is having her dad home.
Yes. Her dad brings a charm bracelet. So her mom has a charm bracelet, and apparently the dad gets her a charm every year. But every year she like acts like she's never heard of this concept before. So he does have a charm for the mom. It's a snowflake. I just thought that was super cute.
Yeah.
And in all the hubbub, he was able to get her a snowflake charm and still wanted to add to her charm bracelet.
Absolutely. They're going to be eating turkey forever because all of the parties that her mom was going to cater were canceled.
But they get to spend more time together. I love sandwiches though, so I think I'd be fine with eating turkey sandwiches forever.
Yeah.
I love like Thanksgiving leftovers, Christmas leftovers. I love it.
Sure.
Like in the episode, have you seen Friends?
No.
Oh, I don't love it, but the thing I related to most in all of Friends is when like Ross makes a sandwich out of Thanksgiving, or Monica makes.
Oh, I did see that on TikTok.
And someone steals his sandwich.
The moisture.
Yeah.
With the piece of bread
calls it
dipped
in the
gravy.
middle. But his like boss steals it in the fridge, and he like loses his mind about it. And I remember watching that episode and being like, no, I feel this way about sandwiches. Yeah. I feel this way about my leftovers at work.
We actually in Delaware we had a sub place that would make a sandwich called the Bobby, which was that like carved turkey, stuffing, cranberry sauce, and mayo, and you could get it year round. So that just was never like a big thing. Yeah, it is delicious. Great store. They just so happen to have one location in Indiana, and it's near my work.
Not sponsored.
Hashtag not sponsored. But if you could go to Capriati's, I know they have locations in Las Vegas, Delaware, Pennsylvania, and like I said, this one random one in Indiana near my place of work. Yeah, they're super good. Yeah, so that's pretty much, it ends with a happy Christmas day.
Yeah, and that's it. That's the ultimate Christmas present.
Yeah, it was pretty. I have to say the font of The Ultimate Christmas Present drove me nuts.
Word
It's
art.
not legible. It was
that was
not
word art.
legible. You could not read it.
Or clip art. It was, clip arts in like Microsoft Word. That's what it was. It was
I don't know. I'm looking at it right now, and it's
like
like not only like the words are all like crooked, and then they put a yellow highlight on it on these like bright green and red letters. And it just all runs together. It's horrific.
Popped up at the beginning of the whole movie.
Yeah.
It pops up on the screen, and my first thought was that someone pulled up Windows Word 98 and made this in clip art and said gorgeous. Like I would have made this in 4th grade, and I would have thought to myself, graphic design is my passion.
Yeah. It's interesting on Disney Plus, the like cover photo is just Santa and Mrs. Claus, which I thought was interesting because that's like not what I associate most with marketing. The movie. I know we also talked last time because we talked about the marketing behind Naughty 9. Now in my Disney Plus on that like that main page, Disney Channel favorites is like one of the options that it wasn't there before.
The algorithms coming.
The algorithms picking it up. So it's a mix of shows and DCOMs. But I don't know. That was just like a fun little thing because I know we mentioned it last episode.
Yeah, that is fun. So let's talk about The Ultimate Christmas as far as nostalgia. So very nostalgic for both of us.
Yeah, 10/10. Yeah,
10 out of 10 on nostalgia.
Absolutely.
And as far as just general Disney Channel wand IDs,
this is going to be a pretty high one. There's not much that I would change in it, besides the font. So I'm gonna actually give it a 9 out of 10.
I am going high as well. I'm Kelsey Bowman, and you're watching the Disney Channel, and I would give this an 8 out of an 8.5 out of 10. I loved that the parents were involved. Obviously, as I said, now I watch this as a mother, so I love when the parents are involved to some extent. It's not a huge character arc for them, but it is slight because we see them, prioritize their families more. And I just got a huge kick out of the fact that the elves were so big and tall and just goofy. Yeah. And Edwin's story was fun, and he got a happy ending too. Even he got somewhat of a character arc, and there were penguins at the end. I'm a huge penguin fan. So yeah,
I think this is a really solid family movie.
I would watch this with my kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Allie is on the bad list, but she's not unlikable. At some points in the Naughty 9, our main character was like, this kid's too good, this kid's too naughty.
You don't want to give them ideas.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and Allie, she had some moments where she showed that, she was just super self-interested. But overall, yeah, she wasn't constantly doing bad things.
And she bickers with her brother, but then they get along, which was just so normal which does happen in the Naughty 9 too.
Real.
It was a really good Christmas movie. I would just, everyone, maybe of all the DCOMs we've watched so far, go give this one a watch before Christmas. It was tons of fun rewatching.
Yeah, it was really good. I think I watched this one last Christmas just because, again, that like one memory of seeing it is so strong for me. Yeah, but I didn't mind watching it again, and I actually think this might be like a new annual watch for me. So
love it.
All right, do we have anything else? Well,
that's
passion
all
for fashion.
For me.
We touched on it a
little bit. There were butterfly clips, the messenger bag,
the layers, because at one point Allie is wearing like a short sleeve shirt under a spaghetti strap.
I love that.
I don't know why it's so funny to me, because I guess like 3 years later it just got inverted, where you wore the spaghetti straps under the t-shirts. But
yes,
yeah. All right, so if we don't have anything else, Kelsey, what are we watching for next week? The episode
we are watching Full Court Miracle,
so Hanukkah movie,
which is a Hanukkah movie. Hanukkah will be over by the time our episode airs, but right Hanukkah will be ongoing, so watch it now during Hanukkah, and then we can discuss Full Court Miracle. Then I have no memory of this movie. I'm sure I've seen it.
Oh,
I
I've
have no
seen it
memory.
multiple times. Lots of memories. So I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I don't have any memory of it. But I'm sure I saw it because I saw all of them at that time, because like if Disney played it, I saw it. And I was a big Disney Channel kid. So I'm excited to watch it and go over it.
Yeah, it'll be good. So this is Go Big or Go DCOM. You can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you want, you can connect with us on our Substack, where you can get episodes right to your email inbox. That's orgodcom.substack.com. All right. Anything else you want to say before we close out, Kelsey?
That's it. Thanks for listening. Merry
All right, well,
Christmas. Happy Hanukkah.
listen next week. All right.
Bye.